call him Doc. Welcome to Combat Veterans. Now your host,
Hey, how's everybody doing? Hey, welcome to Combat Vet Vision. This is my show where I really get to talk about things that I've gone through in my life or in combat specifically, and and how those are things get managed out um, for me and for any of the combat vets that come on here, our sponsors, supporters, volunteers, SitchRadio.com, who managed my show, Brian Colburn. Thanks a lot for making this happen. Pushed me in a direction that I didn't know I was going to go. But for those of you that have never seen this show, it's there to educate the public and to give a little bit of insight as to what the combat vets kind of thinking, dealing with, their opinions on things, and maybe they're going to give you a part of their life that you might not otherwise be able to see or talk about or hear, um, and even that might be sugar coated to some degree. And before I kick this show off, on Facebook, the graphic that I posted this week basically describes kind of a lost memorial, something that Sergeant Major Brian Fogarty brought to the attention on Facebook earlier. I want to say a week ago or so. Um, that kind of totally reflects 9/11. It it was basically, I think it's been kind of on the in hiding for whatever reason, but there's a couple of them. One that Russia donated this to America, gave this to America. Basically, um, the statue, the structure is called "To the Struggle Against World Terrorism," also called the Teardrop Memorial. It stands at the end of the former military ocean terminal in Bayonne, New Jersey. And it's the first thing you see as you approach New York City by ship from the Atlantic. You see it well before the Statue of Liberty, and it comes into view. It's 30 meters tall. It's a slab of steel coated in bronze with a large jagged crack running down the middle. An impressive stainless steel teardrop hangs inside the crack. Yeah, I didn't really know about this, but when you think about what it means, it's pretty significant. Now, it's also, some people look at this and think of it as a female organ, and this, you could definitely, warp your mind to see anything you want to see in this thing. Just like you can, come up with all kinds of scenarios as to, why 9/11 happened, or what happens in life. You can put a spin on it, and we see that in our government today. A lot of different spins on Democrats, Republicans, issues with today's society on so many things. It's hard to keep up with them all. But yeah, this show is just kind of going to focus on my opinion. I'm going to reflect a little bit back on 9/11 as it kind of rolled out for me. And as I think back uh, to when 9/11 was kicking off, I was kind of really taken back by the fact that the Twin Towers were getting hit by airplanes, and they're like, hey, they're taking down the Twin Towers, and in my mind, I'm thinking, what Twin Towers are we talking about? It's not possible, in the United States. What's going on? What Twin Towers? And I really didn't phase me that much at the moment, until it seemed like it was more dire than what I was thinking in my head. So when I took a look at it and seeing this, it was quite a sight, and I realized that my military career was really going to take a turn for whatever was to come, and be made out of this. History is violent, and I'm just going to kind of paraphrase some of the things that I put on this before. History is violent, not always kind. Attempts have been made and continue to be made to curve the at at one time it was acceptable. And I'm just going to reflect back on the fact that a lot of statues, whether you believe that the South didn't deserve to have their statues up, those things are being pulled down. any representation. And I understand there's a lot of different problems with black and white and racism or whatever you want to say. I just don't see it, and I don't contribute to it, but I do understand the frustration of it. Um, However, when I see all these things that kind of twist it up, you can't rewrite history. You can, but it's really not cool to do it. And I'll say, our history is there's two sides of history that I got. I got school history, growing up as a kid and learning the basic history of our nation. And then when I joined the military, I got a whole different history on uh, so many different things, so many different violent acts that had to be conducted in order to do a lot of things on this planet, um, that probably shaped the planet, good or bad. It shaped it. Um, but that's not in history books for the children. That's not in history books for something. Um, whatever you're doing to take away history, that's kind of crazy. When I look at it, I'm like, hey, I really want to see history how it is and how it happened, because that's the raw history. And my history was written, and maybe I sugarcoat some parts of it, and I don't mean to. Um, but I realize that there is no place in society for the war that I went to. Um, I could talk about it. I can tell you all the horrors of it. I can, describe some things to you. I could tell you these things, but that that burden is mine. It's mine to carry. The thoughts, the dreams, the everything that comes to me, the way I navigate life, the way I handle it. That's mine. And as I reflect back to 9/11, it's a horrible piece of history. Um, but nonetheless, it's violent. It had its place. Um, there's a lot to say about it, but we could sugarcoat it, and I talk about that a lot in this segment, because it's not even on purpose. It's just to protect society. Whether none of us were um, basically alive for the Civil War at this point, and but we look back at it, and you can imagine how it rolled out, and but you can't imagine it, you can't feel it, you can't understand unless you were there, you went through it, or you know and history books write about it pretty well, I would think, from what I've read, the pictures that are depicted, um, very well put together. But it seems like that war was kind of the narrative for it. Vietnam, it's distorted as to why we were there, and did it really matter? Now Afghanistan being written, why we were there, um, to fit the narrative, whatever narrative it is. And the reason I do my show is to give a little insight as to the mindset, um, to what's going on in our own heads, um, whether it be a sponsor, supporter, and volunteer as well, to get their scope onto why they're there to help us, why they're there to support us, why they're there to make a difference in society, or what they're doing for America, and what they're doing for the world. Um, there's just a lot to it. And, as I think back and as I think about 9/11, there's a lot of, you know, negative, hard, crazy things and sacrifices that were made, and lives that were taken. And that catapulted a whole system of new ways of life, new ways of travel, new ways of being investigated, new ways of now how combat's going to be conducted and where we have to go to deal with that. And I just think back to all the things that I've done in my history, and it's just my history. It's my life. It's my bundle of things that I carry around with me, or that I share at times with those that sit at a table where very few are invited, or those that are invited because it's important for the knowledge to get out, because somebody's gonna gonna rattle someone's chain one way or another. Someone's going to say thank you for your service, and for me, it gives me an opportunity to appreciate somebody that's really appreciating what's going on in the world. And is it lip service? I don't know, but I'm willing to investigate it first before I even challenge and say, I don't want to hear that stuff. Um, I want to give the benefit of the doubt up front. But some guys just don't. Some guys will be rattled by it. Some guys will be challenged by it. Some guys will be triggered by it, to the gambit. But this is just a platform where I get to talk straight up and listen to some questions, some quotes. I had Michael Amato on last week, and a good buddy of mine, and he's going to be talking to me about the segment of the brotherhood, the warrior brotherhood, and why that exists in upcoming shows. Got Francisco Carrera getting ready to kick off a podcast coming up. Just guys that are wanting to tell their stories, guys that are wanting to tell them in a different way. Guys, his podcast is going to be kind of like a field op kind of thing. And there's a lot to it that's going to be kind of interesting, and getting guys to talk about just some of the more strange or cool things that we've talked about in the field to, there's just a lot. There's a lot to share. And I don't think enough of us do it. And I don't know if we do it enough, or do it in a way that articulates the true mindset of what's going on in our heads. But I just always appreciate having this platform. I'm thankful for Brian Colburn and Sitch Radio for putting this together. I'm thankful for Warrior Built Foundation for their vocational recreational support for our combat vets. I'm thankful to the PTSD Foundation of America for the mentorship, for the peer-to-peer mentorship that they provide, for being able to conduct warrior groups throughout the country, down in Houston, having the setup to take on and help our combat vets. But those are the two that I mainly talk about. But you know what? You have a story. You have an organization out there. I want to talk to you. I want to talk about it. Operation Silver Star, Hometown Heroes is out there. I mean, there are so many that I have had a chance to talk to and about. Warriors in Quiet Waters, the Warrior Foundation. I've had a lot of different organizations on my show, but I would love to have your thoughts, your mindsets, to get a little bit of piece of what's going on with you. And to end this off, I talk about this every week. I deal with it all the time. I talk to combat vets throughout the week. I run a lot of programs that help combat vets and help push them in hopefully a direction that's positive or better, and measuring that by centimeters to inches to millimeters, whatever it is. But to take those steps in a more positive direction, I want to say that hopefully we can do that. And I wanted to leave off with dang, I lost my thought on it. But shoot, I'll have to think about it and come up with it again later. But it was basically had to do with that. It has to do with each one of us has our own story. Each one of us has our own history. And that history might be different, might be the same. Every Marine stood on yellow footprints. Every boot camp has its thing. Every military service has its thing, and guys are going through it right now. There's somebody guarding the wall. So just think about that. The freedom bubble is free, and it's huge, and everybody wants a piece of it. But somebody's standing the wall. So as I just sign off about the 9/11 piece, yeah, this is my thought. I totally forgot. This is how I wanted to kind of top this off, was that every day is like 9/11 to me. Every day is like Memorial Day to me. Every day is like Veterans Day to me, because I'm very involved in veterans in our combat veteran community. Um, I take and think about it. I talk to a vet sometimes, and we talk about hard things. We talk about good things. We talk about easy things. We talk about a lot of different things. But most of all, it's just like, hey, this is my life. This is what I want to do, and this is how I do it. And I'm glad that I get to bring a piece of it to you. But yeah, I'm just going to sign off now. I appreciate you. Till next week, strength and honor. Out.